don't anticipate any changes in the way that we evaluate candidates. So that's to say that you shouldn't approach anything different in terms of recommendations, in terms of your test score or your essays or your timing. However you would apply any previous years, go ahead, stick with that timing, stick with those people to write your letters. But Kim, you hit the nail on the head that people's situations are going to change. And so that might mean, okay, well, my approach is different because my situation is different. And certainly in the case of someone who has lost their job and either may be unemployed or maybe it looks like they switched jobs really quick because they lost their job and we're able to kind of find another solution. And maybe that other subsequent job was not quite as lucrative, but it was a job and we all understand the need to be working. There is an optional essay 4 that I didn't mention. This area is not to kind of write any flowery prose or, post someone else's essay from another school that you thought you did exceptionally well into here to kind of demonstrate what you've done. But it is a place to explain where you think we might have any questions or concerns that doesn't have an outlet to do so otherwise on the application. So if you did lose your job due to COVID and you want to share that with us, this would be the right place to do so. If you are in talks with other companies, or maybe you secured a pre-MBA internship, any kind of, or what you're doing in your free time. I mean, that is a question. If you can fill in those blanks, it's super helpful to understand. Losing your job due to COVID is not going to preclude you from being admitted to the school next year. You just use that space wisely and tell us kind of what you've been doing, what is your plan, so that we don't have to fill in the blanks for you. Why did we change the question? I would say part of it is that we get to read a different question. As team members, we give a lot of input on what the questions are. And I think we are all kind of vote for a change, not because the leadership question wasn't a good one, because I think in my 5 years here, the leadership question was one of the better ones that we get responses on, but that it's nice to kind of see another perspective. And even more so, I think this question allows for people to be more genuine, where the leadership question, it was a little bit easier to fall into the trap of picking a business leader and trying to take that path. This is going to force you a little bit out of your comfort zone, and we love to kind of see that response. No, we do not expect people to be choosing Hemingway or Shakespeare or, I don't even know, like a revered musician, maybe the Beatles. I don't know what that says about me. See, I understand the nervousness. I say the Beatles out loud and I'm like, what are people going to think? But we want you to be true to yourself. And I'll say one of my favorite essay questions from years ago, I don't remember what the actual question was, like what you would want your peers to know about you maybe. And someone wrote this whole essay about binging The Office, the television show, the US-based one. And I still remember that essay. And the way that he connected The Office to what was important to him was just really dynamic and interesting. And so, don't worry about what it is you pick. We really just like to see the different perspectives. Make sure you're answering the question. So if you're not sure, give someone else your essay. Don't give them the prompt. Ask them what they think the prompt is. That should help to better understand if you're answering that question. And in that first essay, if you have a pretty lofty goal, but you also understand that there might be other steps, career steps that need to be taken to get there, make sure that you let us know that you might have to do 2 years of banking before making that switch into private equity. Show us that full thought process. If your goal is, if your goal is private equity and that's the only thing you want out of the program, be transparent about that too. But just so that we understand why you're coming to New York City, why you're uprooting your life, why you're paying all that money, so that we can understand that we can meet your goals given what we can offer. So there are a lot of of upcoming virtual events. And talking about leveling a playing field, literally every prospective student has the same access to campus right now because we aren't inviting visitors to campus. We can't even go to campus. So there are a lot of opportunities posted on the events page of our website now. And then there will be more to come. So there will be a lot of J-term programming. If you're interested in the January entry, there will be chats with alums, I believe, recent J-term alums. For both August and J-term entry, there are student chats, so chats with a couple of current students virtually. There are virtual class visits, so actually joining a summer class with other MBA students to kind of get the feel of what class is like. There are ongoing general information sessions that will cover similar information to what I covered, but we'll also have current students sharing their perspectives, and as well as some usually a spotlight on January term event. So definitely keep an eye on the website. We'll also have a travel schedule. Typically we come to India 2 to 3 times a year. And so what I'm anticipating is that we will also be doing regional specific events, inviting local alums to participate in those to try to recreate that in-person information session that would typically happen in cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, and Hyderabad. If you don't get emails from us now, you can go to our website and you'll see a green box that says stay in touch. Make sure you go in there, you put in your name and your like at least city and country, because we will send invitations for any India specific events and we filter by country and or city. And so making sure that that's in there will ensure that you'll get those email invitations for those specific events. We're expecting transparency. About 50% of our students will come here to change industry or function or geography. The other 50% are telling us that they want to grow in their industry and kind of hone those foundational business skills for the future. That doesn't matter to us which of those priorities you have. And a lot of times people think that they want to come in and continue in their industry, much like we talked about Carly Biji, the founder of Laws of Motion, the dress company, coming in, came from consulting, thought she was going back to consulting, came in, launched her own business with a classmate. We're going to support you in whatever you decide to do once you get here. But if you are thinking about changing function, industry, or geography, what I will say is that changing function and industry within your 2 years at the business school is challenging. And that's when you're really going to want to start thinking about better articulating exactly how you see that playing out, making sure that you're pragmatic about it, even making sure that you talk to someone who's in that role. Asking them, would you hire me if I just had an MBA, a summer internship, and then came out the other side wanting to do this, making this huge pivot? That can really help to inform whether that's practical. That person might turn around and say, no, an MBA alone is not, and plus maybe a short internship is not going to get you there. You should, target maybe 2 years in this adjacent field and then come to me and talk to me or, someone like me about that. So if you are trying to make those big jumps, do some research, understand what it is that is actually practical, and talk about that. A plan B is always okay if that's something you're okay with. Geography, perfectly reasonable to want to relocate to New York, to the US. Obviously things can get very iffy with visas in the US given the current administration and even more so with COVID. But what's really great about Columbia and its global reach is that we have alums, we have recruiters coming from other major cities like Singapore, Hong Kong, London, any major city in the world. And so if you are looking for a job in one of the major financial hubs in the world, chances are that's going to be an option for you. So we are now a STEM designated program, which means that anyone who graduated this year and beyond will have the flexibility in terms of the CPT or OPT allowances post-graduation. There's no special track, there's no special courses, it's just, the program itself entirely was designated as STEM. So that is pretty easy and pretty straightforward.